Hey sixth graders, it's Mr. Cagle. Hope everybody's doing okay as we're on our little bit of a break here and we're all adjusting to this virtual learning together. That being said, this is my very first time teaching a lesson through a video, for some of you it may be your first time learning a new concept through a video, so just bear with me. If you have any questions at the end, feel free to email me. Today we're going to be learning about 16th notes. Which are just another type of rhythm, just like quarter notes, just like whole notes, half notes. It's just another rhythm that you'll see in music. I do recommend that you have either your music minutes out or you have a piece of paper and something to write with, so that way I don't lose you as we go through this. Let's dig in. All right, so the first thing that we're going to start out with is just a slide of our music minute. I'm going to just leave this up for a few seconds and ask that you write this down, or if I don't leave you enough time, you're always welcome to pause the video and take your time to write this down, and then we'll talk about it some more. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten that written down. You've had time to be able to do that. The first thing that I wanted to point out is most of the time when you see 4 16th notes put together, they will be beams just like you see here. The other thing that I want to go ahead and point out to you is these look similar to eighth notes because they have the beam going all the way across. However, if you'll notice, there's a beam here and a beam here. So the thing that really separates eighth notes and 16th notes is going to be the double beam instead of just one beam. And you can see if we're writing the counts in for 16th notes, you're going to write 1, then E for the second one, and for the third one, and then is how we say it for the last one. You write an A, but when we're counting these, we're going to say 1 E and Okay, so this is the next thing that I want us to take a look at. Now that we've written down our music minute, hopefully you have this rhythm tree somewhere in your binder or in your music minutes. This is something we've been adding to all year, and if you remember, the whole note gets 4 beats, half note is going to get 2 beats each. Each one divides by 2. Then a quarter note gets 1 beat. Eighth notes get a half of a beat, and then 16th notes get a fourth of a beat. So it takes 4 16th notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, to be able to fill up an entire beat. Really, what I want you to gather from this is that there are 2 16th notes in every eighth note. So in every eighth note, the eighth note divided again is going to be a fourth. There are 2 16th notes in every eighth note, which means that they travel twice as fast. All right, so the next thing that I would like for us to do is, you can see I've got 2 examples up here. What we're going to do is we're just going to rhythm write these together. I don't need for you to write these down necessarily. However, if you'll just follow along with me and make sure that you're understanding the steps that I'm going through, you should be just fine. So obviously we start out, this first quarter note here you have is beat 1, and because that's a quarter note, that's all of beat 1. So the next quarter note is going to be beat 2, and again that's all of beat 2. We know that these 16th notes now start on beat 3. So instead of writing, 1 E and A, we're going to write 3 E and A. And then that, since we have 4 of them and that's all of the parts of beat 3, then this last beat is going to be beat 4. It's really not that tricky. Then as you can see, this one is the exact same. 1, 2, 3 E and A, 4. And we'll practice clapping and counting these in just a second together, but I wanted to at least get you an example of being able to rhythm write some of this. So let's look down here at the second one, number 2 down here. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. These are 16th notes again because they have that double beam, but because the 16th notes this time start on beat 1, we're going to write 1 E and A. Then that's all 4 parts of beat 1. So now we're going to move on to beat 2. So then you write 2, all of beat 2, all of beat 3, and then that's beat 4. And again, this one will be the exact same. Okay, if you need to go back through that and watch that example again, obviously this is the benefit of us doing video, is you can go back through that and rewind it as many times as it takes for you to understand that. Now that we've hopefully gotten those rhythm written and you can kind of see how we went through that, I'm going to show you how to clap and count this. I'm going to clap and count it first just so that you can hear, and then I'd ask that you practice clapping and counting through these on your own as well. And I've actually got some examples at the end that I'm going to have you try and do on your own of this video without me telling you how it's supposed to go. So I'm going to turn the metronome on, and I'm going to clap and count example number 1. Here we go. And ready, clap and count. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. All right, and here's example number 2. I'm going to turn the metronome back on. 1 E and a 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how both of those go. The issue that we have a lot of times when students try to clap and count 16th notes is they may say 1 E and a or 3 E and a correctly, but they're not moving their hands fast enough. Make sure that for every syllable you're speaking that you're clapping as well. So 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. A lot of times what we have is we have students who go 1, 2, 3 E and a 4. And if you could hear that time, I didn't clap all 3 E and a. I missed a few of those at the end. So just be careful of that. Okay, so some of the confusion that we have sometimes when we get 16th notes is particularly when we have eighth notes, which you'll see here, eighth notes that are beamed in groups of 4. Those, a lot of times students will think that they are 16th notes when really they're just 4 eighth notes that are beamed together. And the way, again, that you can tell is I want you to look right up here. There's one beam all the way across. For the 16th notes, you have a beam on top, and then you have this second beam down there. Okay, so that's how those are different. So these two do not equal. That's why there's the big red X there. Those two do not equal, and you have to count and clap them differently, which is why we're going to do this example down here. So hopefully you can see down here we've got an example where we're going to try this. We've got at the beginning 4 eighth notes because there's only one beam, and then we've got 4 16th notes and then a quarter note at the end. We're going to take what we know, which is the eighth notes. So in the eighth notes, you're going to rhythm write these 1 and 2 and that's how we would have done it any other time when we were clapping and counting or rhythm writing eighth notes. So if we know that's 1 and 2 and, we know the 16th notes are going to start on beat 3. That will be 3 E and just like we've been counting and clapping and rhythm writing, and then that quarter note is going to land on beat 4. And I'll go ahead and turn on the metronome and clap and count this one as an example for you. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. Let me do that one again. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. All right, so here would be a really good spot for you to pause the video and take some time trying to practice rhythm writing and clapping and counting these 3 examples. I'm not going to put up the answers for this yet. I'm going to wait until the end of the week, and I'll put up the answers for this later during the week to see if you will check your answers and see if you got it correct. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. If you are terribly confused by everything that I've done in this video, feel free to reach out to me. If you maybe just didn't get it the first time, try watching the video again to see if you can maybe understand it a little bit better. But obviously, worst case scenario, if you're really struggling with this, please email me or Miss Melvin and we can help you with this. Don't forget, on the back of your pass-off sheet, there's a large list of, or not large list, but there's a rhythm sheet on the back that has a lot of 16th notes, and one of your pass-offs is to rhythm write those and clap and count it, so make sure that you're practicing that. And then also going through and rhythm writing Irish reel first, clapping and counting Irish reel, and then trying to play it is probably going to be the best way for you to understand that one and not get terribly confused. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know.